Have you ever looked around your life, your home, your schedule, even your own thoughts, and wondered when everything started feeling smaller? Not physically, emotionally, like you're living in a slightly dimmed version of the life you used to have. You still smile, still get through your day, but something's changed. You say no more than you used to. You stay home, even when a part of you wants to go. You hesitate to ask for help, but also hesitate to do things on your own. You tell yourself, it's just aging. But what if I told you it's not just your body that affects your independence? It's your emotions. And more specifically, one powerful emotional trap that sneaks up on so many people after 65. The trap of quiet resignation. It sounds gentle, even reasonable. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It whispers. Maybe I can't handle that anymore. It suggests it's too late to start again. It gently convinces you, let's just stay safe, comfortable, predictable. And that trap, the emotional weight of subtle self-doubt, is often more dangerous than physical weakness, because it doesn't just limit what you do, it rewrites who you believe you are. But here's the truth, you are still capable, still growing, still allowed to dream, to try, to explore. And today, I want to help you recognize that emotional trap, understand how it takes hold, and most importantly, break free from it. Let's begin where it often begins, with fear. Not the loud kind, not the kind that screams and makes your heart race. I'm talking about soft fear, the kind that sounds like, I might fall, I'll be a burden. What if I embarrass myself? These are quiet thoughts that seem protective. They're trying to keep you safe. But over time, they build walls around your life. And the more you listen to them, the more those walls start to feel like home. You stop going to that exercise class because you don't want to look awkward. You stop traveling because it's too much trouble. You stop voicing your opinions at family gatherings because you don't want to make waves. Every time fear makes the decision for you, you shrink just a little more. And slowly, invisibly, your independence is no longer taken from you. It's handed over. So how do you reclaim it? Start by noticing the voice in your head. When you feel that hesitation, before you decline the invitation, skip the walk, or say, I'm fine. When you're not, pause and ask yourself, is this a real limitation? Or is it fear pretending to protect me? It's okay to be afraid, but don't confuse fear with truth. Sometimes the most powerful act of strength is to say, I'm scared, and I'm doing it anyway. Now, let's talk about another emotional pattern that steals independence: guilt. This one's tricky, especially if you've spent your life caring for others. After 65, you may find yourself in a season where the roles have reversed. Your children want to help you. People start checking in more, offering to do things for you. And while that comes from love, it can trigger something inside, an uncomfortable feeling like, I don't want to be a burden. So you start pretending everything's fine. You don't ask for help, even when you need it. You push through pain, ignore exhaustion, silence your needs. Because in your mind, independence means doing it all alone. But here's the truth. True independence is not isolation. It's not stubbornness. It's the freedom to choose how you live, including when and how you receive support. Interdependence, the ability to both give and receive, actually strengthens your independence, not weakens it. If you've ever felt guilty for asking for help, I want to remind you, letting someone care for you doesn't erase your strength. It's a sign of wisdom, trust, and balance, and it allows you to show up in the ways that truly matter without burning yourself out. Next, let's look at one more emotional trap that's often overlooked, but quietly powerful: shame. Now, you might think, I'm not ashamed of who I am. And that's true, but shame isn't always loud. Sometimes, it shows up as comparison. You look at who you used to be, physically, socially, mentally, and you start to feel like less. You remember how fast you used to walk, how busy your calendar once was, how sharp your memory felt. And suddenly, today feels like a letdown. You carry that feeling quietly, like something's missing, like you are missing. But you are not a faded version of yourself. You are a different version, wiser, more aware, with a deeper understanding of what truly matters. You don't have to perform or prove anything. You just have to be. The antidote to this kind of emotional trap is self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness, patience, and understanding that you'd offer a dear friend. You wouldn't judge them for aging. You wouldn't call them weak for slowing down. You'd say, "You're doing your best, and you're still amazing." So today, say that to yourself. Because here's the truth. Breaking free from emotional traps doesn't require a dramatic act. It begins with noticing, with naming what's really going on inside you, and then with choosing something different, even if it's just a little step at a time. With choosing something different, even if it's just a little step at a time. Because that's how freedom works. Not all at once, but quietly, gently, through the daily decisions that say, "I trust myself again." Now let's talk about something deeper. Not fear, not guilt, not shame, but something that wraps itself around all of those and holds them in place. Loneliness. It's one of the most common emotional weights after 65, and yet, it's also one of the least talked about. Not because it isn't real, but because so many people feel like they're the only one feeling it. You could be surrounded by family and still feel lonely. You could live in a house that's full of noise and still feel invisible. Loneliness isn't about how many people are around you. It's about how connected you feel to yourself, to others, and to the world around you. And here's the hard truth. Loneliness shrinks independence. Slowly, quietly, day by day. Because when you feel disconnected, your motivation fades. You stop reaching out. You stop trying new things. You stop imagining a future that's any different from today. It's like a fog that dulls your energy, dims your joy, and steals your sense of purpose. But here's the part that matters most. You are not powerless in that fog. The way out of emotional isolation doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't need to join a club, make 10 new friends, or suddenly fill your calendar. Sometimes, all it takes is one small reconnection with yourself. Start with something simple. Write a letter, not to anyone else, to you. Sit quietly and write about what you miss, what you dream of, what you're proud of. No one else has to read it, but doing this can remind you that your story is still unfolding. Then reach out. Call someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Smile at a neighbor. Join an online group, even just to read what others are sharing. You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room, but you do deserve to be seen. And that simple act of connection, even virtual, can bring back a sense of belonging that reminds you, I'm still part of the world. Because you are. You still have value. You still have wisdom. You still matter. And the moment you stop believing that is the moment you start handing your independence over to silence. But let me be clear. Breaking free from this emotional trap doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. You don't need to slap a smile on your face and power through the hard days. That's not strength. That's denial. Real strength is saying, this is hard and I'm facing it anyway. It's waking up on a slow morning and deciding to take a 5-minute walk anyway. It's feeling sad and still picking up the phone. It's noticing that your world feels small and gently, patiently stretching it just a little wider. And when you do that, something begins to shift, not just outside, but inside. You begin to feel your independence return. Not the kind tied to driving or lifting or running errands, but the kind that says, I'm still the author of my life. You begin to choose your own thoughts again. You begin to shape your own days. And that, right there, is where emotional freedom begins. Let me share a short story that might sound familiar. There was a woman, I'll call her Lillian, who had always been independent, worked for decades, raised 3 kids, drove herself everywhere. But after turning 70, her husband passed away. The kids lived far away, and the house, once full of voices, felt heavy with silence. She still did the basics, meals, laundry, even gardening. But slowly, her spark dimmed. She stopped going to church, stopped painting. She didn't feel sad, exactly, just flat. One day, her neighbor knocked on the door and invited her to a small book group. Lillian almost said no. She hadn't read anything in months. She didn't want to talk. She didn't want to act fine. But something in her stirred. She said yes. That one yes led to a Thursday evening ritual. She didn't speak much at first, just listened. Then, one evening, she shared something, a memory about her late husband and a book they once read together. The room got quiet. Someone squeezed her hand. And in that moment, something cracked open. Lillian still lived alone, still missed her husband. But now, she wasn't invisible. Her voice mattered. She had reconnected with others and with herself. And that's all it takes sometimes. One small yes, one honest moment, one step out of resignation and into choice. So if you're watching this right now and thinking, this is me, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not stuck. Even if you've been feeling emotionally shut down for a long time, even if you've built your life around keeping things quiet, simple, safe, you can change the pattern. One step, one connection, one act of courage at a time. One step, one connection, one act of courage at a time. That's all it takes to begin breaking free from the emotional traps that quietly steal your independence. Because the truth is, most people don't lose their freedom in one big moment. It happens inch by inch, through habits of silence, patterns of fear, and the mistaken belief that this is just how life goes after 65. But life after 65 isn't a slow slide into the background. It can be a powerful season of redefinition, of reconnection, of reclaiming your story. And that starts with a very simple but deeply powerful choice: to care about how you feel. You matter. Your inner world matters. What you think, what you want, what you long for, it all still matters. Maybe you've gone years without asking yourself, what do I want truly? Maybe your days have become more about avoiding problems than pursuing joy. Maybe you've fallen into routines that keep things safe, predictable, but empty. If that feels true for you, then I want to say something you may not have heard in a while. You're allowed to change. Not because something is wrong with you, but because something in you is ready for more. More voice, more purpose, more of you. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I'm too old to change now. But let me gently push back. If you woke up this morning, you're not too old. If your heart is still beating, if your breath still moves through your chest, then you still have time to build something beautiful from where you are. You still have time to choose yourself. And choosing yourself doesn't mean throwing everything out the window. It doesn't mean starting over. It just means giving yourself permission to matter again, to listen to what you need, to speak up when something feels wrong, to try new things, even if they're small, especially if they're small. Because small things have power. A walk around the block, a journal entry you write just for you, a new recipe you try out of curiosity, not necessity, a conversation with someone who truly listens. These aren't just ways to pass time. They're ways to take it back. And as you start to reconnect with yourself emotionally, you'll notice something incredible. Your physical energy starts to shift too. You stand a little taller. You move with more ease. You speak with more clarity. That's the mind-body connection at work. And it's real. The moment your spirit reawakens, your whole life starts to expand again. Now, maybe you've spent years being the strong one, the caregiver, the dependable one. And now that your world is quieter, it's unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, to turn some of that care inward. But self-care isn't selfish. In fact, it's the most generous thing you can do for the people who love you. When you care for your emotional health, when you claim your independence, not just physically, but mentally, you give others the gift of you, the full, alive, present version of you. So how do you start? You start by noticing. Where do you feel small in your life? Where have you pulled back? Not because you wanted to, but because you were afraid, ashamed, or unsure. Then pick one thing, one place where you can move forward. That might mean calling someone, or joining a local class, or standing up for yourself in a conversation, or even just writing down your thoughts each morning instead of bottling them up. And if you're already doing those things, wonderful. Keep going, keep growing, keep stepping into the person you were always meant to be. Fully alive, fully aware, and fully free. Because freedom doesn't come from pretending everything is perfect. It comes from being honest, being open, and being willing to believe, even just a little bit, that things can be different. And they can. You are not stuck. You are not invisible. You are not too late. You are still here. And that means your story is still being written. So today, I invite you to take the pen back into your hand. Write yourself into the center of your life again, not as an afterthought, not as a background character, but as the main voice, the steady hand, the person who chooses what comes next. Because that's what independence is. Not just walking without assistance, not just managing your own schedule, but living with the freedom to feel, to express, to belong, and to dream again. If this video spoke to something in you, if you felt seen or understood, or even just a little more hopeful, please let us know in the comments. This community is here to support you, to grow with you, and to remind you, you are never alone on this journey. And if you think someone you love might be caught in an emotional trap of their own, send this video their way. It might be the message they didn't know they needed. Don't forget to like this video if it helped you, and subscribe to our channel for more encouragement, inspiration, and practical tools for living fully after 60. Because this is not the end of the road. This is the return to confidence, to clarity, to joy, to you. Here's to breaking free and staying free at any age.